Welcome, Bear Nation, to Inside UPIKE Athletics, presented by Justice Broadcasting. My name is Gary Justice, and today's guest, the men's and women's tennis coach, Daniel Christensen. And, Coach, appreciate you coming out this afternoon.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, Coach, before we jump into as far as I got our interview, a couple of different topics of like why UPIKE, also your passion behind coaching, and then along with your program outlook. But before we dig into that one, how's the transition been for you?
It's been great. You know, Coach Phipps has been unbelievable in the whole process. Throughout the whole interview process in the first 3 weeks, he's been extremely accommodating and honestly one of the best ADs I could ask for. And for this to be, my first head coaching job, there's a lot to learn, and they've been unbelievable in making sure I have all the resources I need. The players have been great. I know it's always nerve-wracking when you have a first-time head coach and a new head coach, but they've been great, working really hard, and I'm very excited for the future of the program.
Well, Coach, preparing for an interview and looking at your experiences, you're definitely the right person for the job, and we're excited about you being part of Bear Nation as well. And you talked about giving Corey Phipps his flowers. He does a great job. He is definitely, when he was named the athletic director at the University of Pikeville, is the right move. Somebody who has had that AD experience, but he also knows how to, for student athletes, but also he knows how to coach coaches, and he'll make sure you're prepared. I know that one, Coach. Well, Coach, as far as the interview today, definitely 3 different paths. Let's maybe this first topic. So, why the University of Pikeville, Coach?
Honestly, when looking into college coaching, you have to make sure it's the right fit, especially being a first-time coach. The worst thing you can do is go to the wrong place just to say you're the head coach. And that was something I did not want to do. I've talked to other schools in the past. Nothing was really the right fit. And so I'm a person, I like to review every decision before I make it. I'm not a quick decision maker. And so when I looked at Pikeville, I talked to my fiance, and we kind of looked at everything. And first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to Coach Phipps. And so when I talked to him, he really gave the vision of the program. And I left the call, and I thought, this has got to be too good to be true, because the history of the program, what they're willing to do for tennis is unbelievable. And so I continued to do my research, continued to talk to other coaches, the mentors that I have, and I realized that, no, everything's accurate. This is all what they're offering. And so I was all in for UPIKE and did the whole interview process, and they offered me the job, and I accepted within 5 minutes. It was unbelievable. And it's been a great 3 weeks. We've got a lot of work to do, and I think we've accomplished a lot in the first 21 days. And I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and the players are doing everything they can. And so, really, I couldn't ask for anything better. This is why UPIKE, because the players, and that's why I'm here in coaching. And I want to be the best I can be. As coaches, we always ask our players, give 100%, do whatever it takes to win. But the coaches have to be willing to do the same thing. And so, if I'm going to ask the players to give it all they got, I want to do everything I've got to recruit, to build the team, to set the culture, and to make sure that we're set to succeed this spring.
And Coach, you talk about the University of Pikeville being a small school, and we'll go over your experiences just in a second. A lot of you get Division One experience, private instructor. But Coach, UPike's a little different, right? In the fact of being a small school, but you have 3 professional schools on campus. You have you have master's programs, a thriving undergraduate program too. So coming to a small school where you can get a lot of one-on-one attention, but you can do big things as well, makes UPike a little unique. Would you agree with that?
100%. I love the small school environment. In high school, I was in a small school. Our graduating class was 25 people. So I went through that. In college, it was a small school around this size, actually. And so I loved the one-on-one attention, whether it was with coaches, teachers. Everybody was easily accessible. You weren't just a number. And so when coming to Pikeville and looking at the whole landscape of the university, I thought this is the exact environment I want to be in. I want the players not to feel like a number, but I want them to be important because they are. When I was looking at the landscape, that's also what I looked at. I looked at the roster. I looked at what the tennis program has, and I thought, what environment to build, what a foundation. And that's what I told them on the first meeting. I said, look, you've almost got to re-recruit everybody. And I said, I want all of y'all on my team because in 10 years, when we're looking at this program and hopefully we're reaching a lot of success, they're the foundation. They're what started this program. They're what started kind of the new era that we're hoping to build. And so I want them to look back 10 years later and be proud of what they accomplished. Just like I look at the school I went to. I've been a graduate for 5 years now, and I still follow them, and I don't know anybody on the team, but I'm proud because I was there when my coach got named the head coach. I was a freshman, and I was so proud to start his era. And now everything he accomplishes, I look at it as, hey, I was there for the beginning. And so I want the players to look back at Pikeville and be proud and be happy that they stuck it out all 4 years.
And Coach, you're coming to a program, and you've talked about it, it has solid foundation, a lot of talented players here on the men's team and the women's team. But also going back to the foundation of the program, going back 25 years, back in the year this 99 season, the 2000 season, they made the NAIA Final Four. The alumni are still very involved inside the program. I know you, before we started recording, you expressed an interest wanting to get in contact with a lot of the alums to make sure they stay a part of the program. As you just mentioned, as far as that Lynchburg, how you're still involved in the program. It's been 5 years, and you don't know anybody else on the team, but you're still a big part of, your career so far, but also just the pride you had when you was a Lynchburg Hornet. But now I'm sure you want the alum to reach back out, right, for the University of Pikeville.
Absolutely, 100%. One thing I love about Lynchburg is where I went is they still make me feel involved. They don't make me feel like an outsider, and that's what I want Pikeville to feel like. These players gave everything they had for 4 years at the University of Pikeville, and I don't want them to feel like they're no longer part of the program. I'm going to lean on them a lot because I want to learn more about the program. I've been here 3 weeks. I've done my research, but I haven't been in the match situation. I haven't coached Pikeville in a match. So I want to lean on them to know, okay, what worked for you so I can give to these players. Because I'm a person, and I tell the players this in practice. Obviously the head coach has to make the final call. But I like to know what the players are thinking. I always have open communication where if they have an idea, we might not do it. But I want to know what they like, what works for them, and so I can implement that. And that's what I want the alumni to feel, that they can come to me. They don't know me, I don't know them, but I want to get to know the alumni because I want to learn more about this tennis program because I'm here not just for the current players, I'm here for the past players, and I'm here for the future players.
Well, Coach, definitely love to hear that word as far as staying connected and want to learn because, when you have programs that have had a lot of success, it's like, hey, we may not do exactly everything how it was done 25 years ago, but it's like if I can take a little bit of that spice, right, from the alums and take a little bit of the spice, gathering the data as you kind of think about it, of like how do I need to coach the current team now, but then also a little bit of spice of how you had success 25 years ago, and then we want you to stay a part of the program. So, Coach, definitely excited to hear about that. So let's jump to the next topic here, Coach. As far as your passion of coaching, going back to your high school days, you mentioned a small school, but you competed at a high level. Three-time state champion, named All-State 3 times. Went on to University of Lynchburg, and there you spent 4 seasons, very productive. 24 wins on the singles, 19 on the doubles. Served as a team captain your junior and senior season. Coach, what's passion? Where does this passion, or I mean, you're an accomplished player, and it makes sense to go into coaching, but coaching and playing is two totally different things. Where's your passion from for coaching?
I tell you, my passion for coaching is the relationships I had with my coach. When I began playing at 10 years old, my dream was to play college tennis. And I had some people, friends that they would say, "Look, there's no way you started too late." And I'm a person I love to be challenged. And so when someone tells me I can't do something, naturally we all want to do it.
Love it.
So I got private coaches, my high school coach, and we worked as hard as we possibly could. And they helped me succeed in that dream to play college tennis. And when I got into college, now my new goal was I want to set a legacy. I want to leave and be remembered, not because of individual accomplishments. Yes, the 24 wins, that's great. But I want to set a mark for the team and be the best team player I can be. And being named team captain, I wasn't proud of it for the title. I was proud of it because it just meant I was working hard and I was accessible to the coach. But I would say what got me into coaching was my senior year. It's during COVID, everything's kind of all over the place. And really, I was struggling in the fact, and I'd lost a few matches, just really discouraged with my game. And I go to my coach and I said, "Coach, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do to get out of this losing streak." And he looks at me and he says, "I want you to go home for the weekend and you're going to skip 2 practices and come back Monday." I said, "Coach, I can't do that. I'm the team captain." And he looked at me and he said, "But if I'm not willing to invest in you, how can I ask you to invest in the program?" He said, "Let it be a team effort and let us help you." And I left that, and when I came back, the losing streak ended. I won several matches to end the season in my college career, won my last match in my college career. And I remember when I hugged him, my coach, at the end of it, I said, "Thank you for choosing me." And then he looked at me and said, "Thank you for choosing me." It was a joint effort. And so that's what I knew I wanted to get into coaching because my coach completely changed my life. And I want to change the lives of the players. They can win an NAI championship, and I hope we do someday. But that's not going to be what they remember. They're going to remember the relationship with the players. They're going to remember the relationship with the coach. If they walk down the stage and they graduate and they just said we had a really good program and we won a lot, then I failed as a head coach. I want them to say that I invested in them, that I gave everything I had because my head coach at the college level did that. My head coach at the high school level, I graduated high school 10 years ago and we still talk twice a week and just go back and forth with ideas. And not only about tennis, but he makes sure that my relationship and my life is in a good position to where I can invest in the players. And so that's why I wanted to get into coaching because I want to give back because I wouldn't have reached my dreams if it wasn't for my coaches. And so I want other people to reach their dreams. We look at this job and recruiting, for example, we look at it as we're just sending players an offer. We're making their dreams come true. Their dream is to play college tennis. And whether that's their dream or that's their expectation, they're reaching their goals when they sign on the dotted line. Now, I want it to be Pikeville, but I tell every single player that I offer, I say, I want you to choose Pikeville, but you've got to make the choice best for you. I hope it's Pikeville. I think it's Pikeville. That's why I made the choice here. But they've got to make the choice that's best for them because I want to be able to invest in who wants to be here. And that's what all the players in this program, they don't have to be here. They're choosing to be here. And that's what the big thing, belief is a big thing. All players want their coaches to believe in them. but it works for the coaches too. My players have to believe in what I'm giving them. Coach Phipps, it's not an elephant in the room. I'm a first time head coach. I've been an assistant coach. I've been a private instructor. Head coach is the one thing I've never done before. I've wanted to do it for a long time. And some programs, and I told them this, some programs that could scare them away, never being a head coach, but you've got to be a first time head coach somewhere. And it takes someone to believe in me. And Coach Phipps has chosen to believe in me. I'm so grateful, and I know that I'm going to lean on him, lean on other people. We're going to do the best we can for Pikeville athletics. But that's why I want to do coaching, because I want to invest in players because my coach has invested in me. And that's what my coach told me at the end. He said, you can say I've invested in you, all this stuff, but he said, one day you're going to pass it down to someone else. These players 10, 15 years down the road, they're not going to be playing tennis. They might not be coaching. I don't know. They're going to be married. They're going to have kids of their own. And now they're going to have to take the tennis lessons and life lessons they learn. You're not going to succeed in marriage and raising a family if you know how to serve well. You're going to have to know the life lessons that you've learned and be able to pass that along. It's like for me, I'm getting married this year. I'm going to learn the life lessons my coach taught me and pass that on to life.
You mentioned going back to your story when you were struggling and the coach sent you home for the weekend to say go regroup and invest in yourself, right? So you can reinvest in the team, because when I say reinvest in the team, try to break that losing streak, but also you saw how he was weighing on you. And when you have coaches who focus on you versus focus on your program, you're the team captain, one of the better players on the team, and you had a different coach is like, no, I need you here, let's do this. But he's focusing on you. And before we started recording, both you and I were sharing how we're both men of faith. Absolutely. And that type of thing. And we talked about service. And, coaching is definitely a way that you can serve others. And you sound like you've had a lot of impact from coaches who have served you, and now you can serve others. And you talked about also, it's not just about the championship. Now, don't get us wrong now, folks in Bear Nation. Once that first serve goes up, let's win every match as possible, right? And let's go, we orange and black all the way. But it's more about preparing people for the next 40 years versus just the 4 years that's here, right? So it definitely, I love that way. I can talk about coaching with you all day, and also with service all day long too, Coach. And then I'm excited what you're going to do for the program. Shifting to this will be my last topic for you. As far as like your program outlook, you've talked about, you coached at different levels. You've coached at the high school level. You coached at the D1 level, Elon. Been a private instructor, so you have all the skills that's necessary to be a very successful collegiate head coach. And I know you mentioned a couple of different times it's been your first head coaching job, but what is your program outlook for the University of Pikeville?
So I'm really excited. We had the good thing about coming in November. You can look at the disadvantages of starting a little bit late. I looked at the advantages of we could practice in November. A lot of times when you start in August, you use your fall weeks, and then you can't practice in November. So I use November to just practice, evaluate. They competed a lot against each other. And one thing that I've left after the 3 weeks looking at is they work really hard. And not one thing that I ever gave them to do, they never pushed back. That can be with any any new head coach. You can worry about pushback because they're used to another head coach. They bought in immediately on day one. When I had the meet and greet, we had a team meeting. They bought into everything, and they're working really hard. But I would say my favorite memory so far, and I think that's going to help us in the spring, is Thursday. I had practice. I thought it was going to be warmer. It turned out to be 33 degrees. Probably should have canceled looking back, so if your players are watching, I'm sorry. But I thought, I want to see who's going to show up. Because I didn't make it mandatory. I made it optional. They all showed up, except a couple of them emailed me that they had class, which I understand. They showed up, and they worked as hard as they could and never complained about the cold. Now, they got their hoods on, they got they're bundled up, and they're working as hard as they could. And they're constantly moving, and I rewarded them. I stopped after like an hour and a half instead of going the full 2 hours. also because of me. I'm freezing. But I was so impressed because they could have easily complained. They could have easily said, "What are you doing? Like, we're in November." And I told them at the end, I said, "I know it's cold. I know this wasn't fun, but we're setting the standard for the spring because I guarantee you, not a lot of other schools practiced outside on that day, and it wasn't intentional. It just worked out that way. But I was so impressed that they're willing to put in the work and they're ready for the spring. I'm ready for the spring. I am so excited. I've been, on the phones, working the schedule. I'm so excited to compete. I'm so excited for my first head coaching match for the University of Pikeville. I'm ready to. If we could start tomorrow, I would start tomorrow. If we could have had another team travel in 33-degree weather, we'd have done it. But I'm so excited because I think they've got what it takes. I'm not gonna, we're not gonna guarantee anything. I don't know, but I know they're gonna work hard. A quote that I always live by, and I want my players to live by, is a quote from Derek Jeter. He said when trying out for the New York Yankees, he said, I don't know that I'm going to be the best, but I can promise nobody's going to work harder than me." And it's something I've tried to live by as a player and now as a coach. I don't know if I'll go down as the best player in history at the school I went to. I don't know if I'll go down as the best coach in history, but I want to go down as the one that worked harder than anyone else. And that's the biggest compliment I can get from anybody, is saying that I work hard, because I'm a person, when I commit to something, I'm all in. I don't believe in half effort, 75% effort. And so when I looked at the landscape of Pikeville, that was the last question I asked myself, is can I go all in with the University of Pikeville tennis program? And when you look at it, look at the history, look at the alumni, look at the tennis courts, because a lot of people don't have good tennis facilities. We've got 6 good courts, lighted. We've got an indoor court at the YMCA to practice on. A lot of other facilities do not have that. I'm looking at it all, and I was like, I can absolutely go 100% in, and you can sell the program, and you don't have to make anything up. You can just be honest about the program, and either they're going to buy it or they're going to not. But a lot of people are interested in Pikeville tennis, and I'm so excited for the spring and for the future.
There's a couple of things there, Coach. You talking about uh, there's a couple things that you can control is effort and attitude, right? And definitely, yeah, every single day bringing your lunch bill to work, top deal, and the attitude as far as coming in every day wanting to get better, trying to learn something. But and you talked about just the facilities. Yeah, definitely. There's no salesmanship that's necessary here. If you're a recruit, you come visit campus, look around. Definitely, everything that they need is here. And we talked a lot on the tennis side, but even on the academic support side, there are a lot of services already provided for the student athlete where that customer decides they want to become a bear. We'll take care of them, Coach.
Absolutely. And I think it says a lot about what's being offered at Pikeville. There's tennis programs all around. But one thing I love, and I know you don't need the credit, but like the exposure we're getting here, our program, you're not going to see this with many other programs doing an interview, being broadcast. But Pikeville cares about tennis. It cares about all the sports equally. I don't look at all the sports, and I can't say this about every school, where you say I feel equal to all the other programs. I feel that I'm being equally bought into as everybody else, and that's how I feel here. And that says a lot about Pikeville, because tennis, we're all important. All programs are important. Some are bigger, some bring in more fans, but all the players, that this is their dream. All these athletes, whether it's tennis, football, basketball, softball, baseball, they're living out their dream. I'm as a head coach. I told the players, I said, I feel like I'm coming in as a freshman, except I'm just not playing, because I'm so excited to be the head coach here, and I'm so excited for the future of the program. I believe that great things are on the horizon. We've just got to, like you said, clock in, put in the work, and let's get ready to compete.
And Coach, you talked about the just the individualism here at the University of Pikeville. Whether it be interview with a tennis coach or um, just really caring about the individual, whatever it may be. Can't I give them much exposure to that individual? We're planning on having a tennis show throughout the year, having our student athletes in the hot seat, but reason why we want to put them in the hot seat, give them a little experience with interviews, right? And so the college process is not just about tennis or going to classes. It's all important, but also it's important to get them prepared for life after college as well. And coach, the many moons ago when I went to school here, that the tagline for University of Pikeville, and it still remains true, it is changing the world one graduate at a time. And so you start thinking about having a small school like the University of Pikeville. So this is going to be the sales plug for the University of Pikeville. But you start thinking about having a small school with the 3 professional schools, and meeting the region's needs. Because when the medical school started in '97, the region was underserved medically, and then you had the optometry school that come along in 2016 because Appalachia actually had the highest rate of vision loss of any place in the country. And now you have the dental school open up as well. So again, that just shows University of Pikeville listening to what is needed. And I promise you folks, University of Pikeville will listen to, if you're a tennis recruit, I promise you we'll listen to you whatever you need as well. Well, Coach, as far as anything, you've got me sold. I cannot play tennis. I'm ready. I'm ready to throw the tennis ball up and try to hit it if I can. But any closing comments from you, Coach?
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate the school being so invested in the tennis program. I'm very excited. Like I said, if any recruits are watching, feel free to reach out. We're continuing to recruit for the fall and this spring, and we're really, really excited for the players and what we've got. And I believe that good things are on the horizon, and I believe we're going to work as hard as we can. And win or lose, we're at least going to make it tough on our opponents.
Well, Coach, we definitely have the right person guiding the ship,
you.
so we're definitely very excited about that. And so, folks, we appreciate you guys tuning in to Inside UPIKE Athletics, presented by Justice Broadcasting. For Coach Christian, my name is Gary Justice, signing off. And please remember, it's always a great day to be a Bear.